And now you have to ask yourself, how did 50 come into the possession of Diddy's footage for Diddy's documentary about Diddy?
A lot of insight. And, this documentary is about people being able to tell their truth or tell their version.
For a long time, Katt Williams was brushed off as the outspoken comedian who talked too freely. People laughed at his comments, dismissed them as exaggeration, and moved on. That perception shifted in January 2024 when Katt appeared on Club Shay with Shannon Sharpe. The tone online changed almost instantly. The joke stopped and attention locked in. What made the moment different was not humor, but timing. Many of Katt's claims began to align with events unfolding in real time. He was no longer discussing stand-up comedy or industry rivalries. Instead, he spoke about influence, deception, and an entertainment world that survives by keeping certain truths buried. He also hinted that when serious revelations about Diddy emerged, they would not involve just one individual. Months later, 50 Cent released his documentary Sean Combs, The Reckoning. The project made waves, presenting clips, timelines, and recurring patterns that had circulated quietly for years. Yet, viewers noticed something unusual. Several well-known figures were absent from the narrative, left unnamed and unexplored, as if intentionally removed. That absence brought Katt Williams back into the conversation. Online discussion suggested that Katt had anticipated this outcome. Through previous interviews, humor, and subtle remarks, he seemed to imply that 50 Cent may have faced pressure to exclude certain individuals from the documentary, not due to lack of evidence.
Def Comedy Jam 25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show?
Itself was straightforward. Diddy was not acting on his own. He was backed by layers of protection. Some of it coming from well-known figures whose reputations made them difficult to confront. K never shared a full list. He did not clearly identify all 7 individuals. But that did not stop online audiences from speculating. As usual, the internet stepped in to connect the dots. Discussions spread quickly and theories multiplied. One name that surfaced repeatedly in those conversations was Snoop Dogg.
It's audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs with Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs with Puffy. You got Steve Harvey over there, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these are dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold up. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we got to stop it, man. We stop that. We stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my peoples.
For real, that's what we came in for. We came in to light it up and ride it up. We make music.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfuckers, they got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay. You know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. We grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because You knew how Pop felt about this individual.
We're quick to note that Snoop had openly talked for years about attending Diddy's gatherings not once or twice but consistently over a long period of time. Interviews, jokes, and old footage highlighted just how closely their circles overlapped. As more discussions surfaced online, additional rumors appeared, including claims tied to Ollie Carter and resurfaced stories from the past. Nothing was ever confirmed, but the volume of conversation led many to question why Snoop was not mentioned at all in the documentary. Speculation suggested that bringing up his name would have caused serious pushback, not only from fans, but from powerful industry connections. Snoop is more than an artist. He represents a business empire and a cultural institution, supported at multiple levels. To some observers, that status placed him beyond scrutiny. At the same time, Kevin Hart's name caught many people off guard. Online theories pointed to his early career and his connections during that period, especially around events referred to as Flavor Camp. These gatherings were linked to Diddy and often described as gateways for rising talent trying to break into the industry. Fans started revisiting Kevin Hart's early comedy material. Certain jokes struck some viewers differently this time, not as evidence of anything, but as moments that prompted new questions about what he may have witnessed or encountered.
ET Awards went off without a hitch last night. A sense of that there. No, inside everything was fine. Outside everything was fine. And Kevin Hart decided that he was going to make jokes about, well, I mean, he's the host, right? So you have to sort of roast a little bit about someone who's in the audience because, well, this person is in a prison, actually right now sitting in a courtroom, and that's Diddy. Yes, he didn't say his name, but it was very clear to everyone who he was talking about here. Watch the reactions in the room.
Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know, right. His after parties, were a part of the BET experience. So, life comes at you fast, but, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say the Diddy after parties that happen after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak-offs. The trial is something separate, but still nobody wanted to be seen as laughing at.
Maybe the quietest name connected to the situation, but to many, his role feels especially revealing. His history with Bad Boy Records is well documented, marked by contract disputes, public frustration, and then a noticeable withdrawal. When allegations surrounding Diddy began to surface, many expected Mays to speak out. He didn't. That silence became a story of its own. Some fans believe Mays knows far more than he has ever shared publicly. Others think he simply chose distance and stability over reopening old wounds. According to speculation, his connection was too complex and too close to the center of everything. Bringing him into the conversation would have meant revisiting chapters that could not be easily closed again.
What's going on with Kevin Hart?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
The internet is going wild on him, saying that he was a curator and a narrator of one of the Diddy parties and got caught on tape. You hear that?
Wow. I didn't hear that one.
That must be one of your favorite. That must be one of your favorite comedians then. Cause you didn't hear that?
That was cool.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
Get out of here.
It was cool, but I didn't hear that one. Must have missed it, man. I think I caught most of them.
I think he almost fell in the tub with one of the girls. Diddy had some girls in the tub, a tub of baby oil or something like that, and he almost fell in the tub. It was crazy.
He would be one of the celebrities that I definitely wouldn't think would be involved in anything illegal. For sure.
But you got to realize this, man. People who get caught up in certain those things like that, those parties and things like that, is that they don't go there looking for that stuff. You got to understand, they get caught up in the moment with the alcohol, the drugs, and then certain bottles that are laced with certain things that take you away from your normal self. And you end up probably doing something that you probably never do again in your life. You'll never get caught up in those things ever before. There are a lot of celebrities they go to these parties like this. And they not only Diddy parties. I went to a party before and You Can't Handle the Truth and King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me was at one of those parties. I was bodyguarding one of the girls. So what I'm saying is that it's rampant, and this was years ago. This was over 20 years ago. It's rampant in the music industry. It's rampant in Hollywood, film, pictures, and anything.
Can I tell you a story, Killer? I don't think I ever told you this story. This is what Puff taught me. One time I walked in when I was fresh off the streets. I got signed to Bad Boy. I had these fresh Air Nikes on, and then I had on Air Nikes too, brand new. I made a mistake and stepped on his sneaker, and the dirt was on his laces, on his white Airs. I said, man, my bad, because I had stepped in some dirt. You know, the nigga came back, put his feet in the dirt, and stepped all over my sneakers. I said, yo, what are you doing? He said, my bad. I said, yo. The moral of the story is, nobody just want to hear you say you're bad.
Mill's name entered the discussion after an audio clip surfaced online. It spread quickly and sparked widespread debate. Some dismissed it outright while others took it seriously. Meek denied any wrongdoing, but by then the conversation had already taken on a life of its own. Online speculation suggested that directly including Meek in the documentary could have jeopardized the entire project. The risks ranged from legal challenges to defamation concerns and an intense media backlash that a platform like Netflix may have wanted to avoid. Within rumor circles, this was seen as one of the most obvious examples of material being removed, not because it lacked relevance, but because it posed a greater risk to the release itself.
I was told the day before the incident at the celebrity basketball game that someone was coming for Puffy and Biggie. And another line that May said that caught my attention, man, was him saying that never found the killer. Why is there? How do you feel about him saying that? Because it sounds like he's referring to Biggie getting killed in LA, and Puffy, he's currently living in LA right now. And why does he feel so comfortable living somewhere that Biggie got killed at, knowing that they never found the killer and the murder is still unsolved?
Well, on all honesty, brother, you would have to ask him that. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it like that, then I know, those mansions are heavily guarded, one. Two, he wasn't getting the love that he would get. I don't think he's getting love in LA. I don't know. He said he owns LA, he runs LA, he runs Miami, and he runs New York. So by him running LA, as he say he does, I would feel comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? If I knew for a fact that the person they got, and that was enough to call back all of everything, I would feel that comfortable too. But I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't go there. I'd do business and get on out of there. If I was still afraid, I don't think he may have not ever been afraid. You understand? Because he never acted like he was afraid for whatever reason it was.
The most delicate names raised in discussion were Justin Bieber and Usher. Both had professional ties to Diddy early in their careers. Over time, older footage resurfaced that viewers now interpret differently, along with interviews that seemed unsettling in hindsight. Years later, Justin Bieber's emotional response to questions from photographers only intensified online speculation. This led many people to question whether certain young stars were shielded by the industry at a purse on a cost. According to widespread belief, this is where the documentary drew a firm boundary. Not because the subject lacked importance, but because it involved individuals who may have been vulnerable, and bringing those details into the public spotlight risked causing further harm rather than clarity. As a result, those names were left unmentioned.
In the day that Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly,
anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike on more than one occasion, my man, listen here, man. My dudes in Philly, I got some real strong dudes in Philly. They don't play that. And they probably embarrassed for the fact to see that Meek Mills, one of the street guys that came out of there, got caught up in this Hollywood, whereas that he's dressing like like Diddy, hugged up with Diddy. I think that Lil Rod know a lot of, but I know this. Two men dress alike, it's just like two men laying down. When they both get up, they both homos. And that's real talk, bruh. My man, you go to a party, dog, and the nigga got the same shirt you got on, I'm taking my shirt off. I'm walking around in a t-shirt. And then, not to blow Meek Mills up out the water or anything like that, it was said that they checked his Google search and all that, and he was searching for some online gay porn and all of that.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, bro. But listen, those are what, it's crazy that money, that lifestyle, and you trying to fit into something get you. These guys never set out to do all this. Meek Mills, when he got into the game, he didn't set out to be questioning about his manhood with Diddy. But he put himself in that position.
Like, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So.
Then there is Clive Davis. If Diddy was seen as a central figure, Clive was often viewed as the architect behind the scenes, the gatekeeper positioned even higher. Many fans believe his absence from the documentary speaks volumes. Not because he required protection, but because he represents the structure itself, including Clive Davis, would not have focused on a single individual. It would have pulled back the curtain on how the entire industry functions, and that level of exposure is rarely allowed to move forward. Some believe this was the true line that could not be crossed. The point where the story shifted from individuals to the system as a whole.
Bootleg, they don't even bootleg no more, man. So it's going to be hard to figure it out if it does exist.
Do you believe the guy in the tape is white?
If he's bigger than Diddy, and he's not none of the names that I said, probably so. But then they say he was young too.
Yeah, they say he was young.
Let me get his name right. I hope it ain't the Bieber. I hope it's not the Bieber.
That's a good one. It might be him. But if they saying that the guy is young and he's an A-lister, I can't think of that many black people, man.
Right. Not at all. And somebody that's more powerful, more of a celebrity than Diddy. You understand what I'm saying? If they were saying somebody that was more celebrity than Diddy, he was an A-lister, he was younger. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not black, it would have to be the Bieber. That's his name, Bieber? They said I got that wrong too. Justin Bieber. Allegedly. I don't know, bro.
Right. But when you heard the news that Diddy, he had a tape with another man, did that catch you by surprise or no?
Well, all this is by surprise to me. A lot of this is by surprise to me, to be totally honest, man. Because I knew Puff, I knew Puff Daddy, I knew Diddy before he was Love and Brother Love and back to Diddy. So, no, but the diddler, he's the diddler now. A lot of it's surprising, but it's not unheard of. Because you hear of all kinds of and whether it registered with you or you internalize it or something like that, that's a whole nother story. But a lot of this stuff is crazy. But this is the world.
50 Cent addressed the rumors in his own way, noting that documentaries have limits, episode limits, legal limits. But Katt Williams, through humor and subtle remarks, seemed to hint at a different reality. According to him, the omissions weren't purely creative decisions. They were shaped by strategic pressures, legal threats, distribution concerns, protection of powerful figures, or safeguarding those affected by the events. Nothing was confirmed, and everything was debated. Yet the missing names remained absent. What convinced many viewers that certain names were deliberately left out wasn't just who was absent. It was how familiar the pattern seemed. Longtime observers of the entertainment industry have seen this before. A scandal erupts. One person takes responsibility, and the rest of the system quietly steps back into the background.
Stacey Dash, Ray J, Clive Davis, how are they all connected?
I want to say Diddy, but I don't.
We're going to be going through all of those possibilities.
Oh, okay. I wasn't supposed to answer. Okay.
And when we started LA as a Graveyard, then, it was like, okay, we can't just say that anymore, especially after I took them up to 35 for us to film about what happened in Mo there. It's hip hop.
Yeah.
And that's going to be moving on to Tombstone.
Okay.
And we'll be going through the unexpected, unusual deaths, unsolved murders, mysteries, things of that nature, things that I know, things that I'm directly connected to. We want to create this aspect because we want to start teasing people's minds into wanting to get these crimes solved, because the truth is, it seems like the hardest murder to solve in America is a rap murder. They just don't seem to get solved.
Without question.
That's a problem.
Without question.
Because we got over 35, 40 years of hip-hop homicides.
Yes.
How many of them get solved?
They created a whole show. Yeah.
Unsolved hip-hop mystery? Are you kidding me?
Hey. I have to ask you, you mentioned Clive Davis. They just showed him recently walking into somewhere, and they asked him about Diddy, and he said who? Is that old age, or does he not? They're not in the same world, or they're in the same world, but they're not cohorts.
He's definitely been.
After Sean Combs, The Reckoning was released. Fans quickly noticed how the conversation narrowed. The focus remained squarely on Diddy, and many deeper questions went unasked. Who funded the events? Who booked the venues? Who showed up year after year? Who approved the decisions behind it all? Online researchers began comparing this moment to previous industry scandals and noticed a familiar pattern. One individual becomes the face of the controversy. A few startling details are revealed, but anything that implicates multiple powerful figures at once is often dismissed as unverified, risky, or too sensitive to discuss publicly.
Talking about for some time now. Alex, let me begin with you. The docuseries is entitled Sean Combs, The Reckoning. How is this one different from the others that have been out there?
Well, I think that the biggest marker of what makes this film or this series different is how much time we took into putting into the making of the film, doing our due diligence to get the right voices, to the table, this is a series that spans over 30 years. So just by covering that much time, it took a lot of time for us to dig in and to kind of make sense of this story and to put this timeline together.
Yeah, and there's like some never before seen footage that I'm going to talk to you about in just a moment. But Curtis, people know about this very public, long-standing feud that you've had with Sean Combs. So what brought you to this project?
Well, I just want to make really hit television. I like the idea of it being exciting, and I picked this project and started working on it about 5 months before I found Alex. And I know that she has the artistic integrity that it would take to make it a great project, and there's the Quincy Jones era of production is find me that bass player because he's the baddest man out there in Chicago, and find me that keyboardist and fly them in from Miami, and we put them in and have the greatest jam session they ever heard, and it just always resulted in great hit music. And I take that concept into television production.
You take that into everything you do, sir.
That's right.
You really do. It really comes through, and appreciate that about you. As I said, never before seen footage of the days leading up to his arrest. Can you just talk a little bit about, was there anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, well, I think it's rare to find someone who's being, talked about all over the country. All eyes were on him, so to speak. And it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and what was sort of important to him. Obviously, there's phone calls with his attorneys, with his team. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. He has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public, in the days leading up to his arrest and indictment. So that was interesting. It was also just interesting to see how laid back he was at times. But, the footage also, in the footage, we also see how he's getting incoming, lawsuits are dropping, and to get his real-time perspective on that was sort of jaw-dropping when we first got our eyes on the footage.
Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching the footage?
No, that didn't surprise me at all.
Because you've known him?
Yes, those behaviors, and I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that, because how did you go about getting the footage? And do you know the intent of the videographer, why he or this person took the footage?
She's a journalist, right?
Yeah.
So she's not going to reveal her sources, so you don't have to reveal that.
Not going to reveal my...
And Katt Williams' words began to feel less like comedy and more like a warning. He never said the truth would be denied, only that it would be controlled with certain stories carefully trimmed to protect the bigger picture. Viewers quickly noticed how other celebrities went silent. Interviews were canceled, social media posts vanished, and old photos quietly disappeared. It wasn't panic. It was calculated strategy, the kind that comes from knowing the unspoken rules of survival in the industry. Whether or not 7 names were actually removed, the reaction told its own story. People weren't defending Diddy, they were defending distance. And that might be the most revealing detail of all. When silence spreads faster than facts, it usually indicates the truth hit closer than anyone wants to admit. Katt Williams never called himself a hero. He described himself as a truth teller, and truth tellers often speak in riddles when the reality is dangerous. Whether the list was real or imagined, one thing is clear. Diddy's downfall did not happen alone. It opened a door. Behind that door lies an industry that still hesitates to fully confront itself. The question is no longer who was removed. It's who may never be.
Still doing press. Diddy. 50.
Diddy is not doing press.
No, he's
doing press on the yard.
He's doing press, like he's doing push-ups. No, 50 is still doing press, and obviously, with the success of the Reckoning documentary, he's talking about there's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has, and each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. There was 4 episodes, so there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or produced, and he's saying that he may put it out on YouTube just to put it out there,
like on his 50 Cent Devo page.
I don't know if it'll be on his page, but he just said, he doesn't know if he's going to release it with Netflix or through Netflix. He might just, put it out on YouTube or wherever, some other platform. But the one thing that he said that was interesting is, he said, because you see people out here trying to, say, oh, the documentary can paint a narrative, this and the third. And his words were, if you see the rest of this footage, there will be no more, kind of like, oh, you can paint this narrative. It's pretty clear cut. The things that are being said in the documentary, the things that he still can't believe Puff, because he says that a lot. Like, he can't believe Puff actually recorded all of this.
Yeah. But I mean, so why does 50 not put that, if it's that damning and that crazy, why not put it in the doc?
I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't put it in the doc. Maybe, the stories, maybe he had more people that he would need to interview and have sit down for the documentary to kind of go through those stories that are in there. It could be a number of reasons, but the fact that he has over 100 hours of footage of personal footage and things like that leading up to the case, because the story is Puff felt like he was going to win the case, and that this was going to be footage for his documentary that he would have released,
the redemption,
after the trial was done and things like that. So, the amount of things that he probably was recording, just going off of the fact that he felt like they were going to win the case.
Yeah. And this is my footage and these guys aren't going to put it out.
Yeah.
Like all the crazy we're going to take out.
Right.
But I mean, even I did see who I think was the director of what Diddy was trying to do had mentioned that he was on vacation or was out of town and had someone fill in for him. And that's the only footage that made it to the doc because that guy sold it. So maybe that director didn't pay the person to fill in, so he owned the footage and was able to give it away. But maybe all this other footage, 50 doesn't have permission to put out. Like, okay, he could have it, but the director's like, no, this is my footage. Like, you got the other, because I had my man's fill in for me for 3 days, and he has that footage now.
Right.
So maybe that could be it. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like 50 is so petty that if it was that crazy, he would have just put in the doc. But who knows? I don't even want to speculate what is on the 100 hours.
Yeah.
After Lil Rod telling me what was going on, I don't know if I want to see it visually.
I mean, and for 50 to say the footage that's on there is it leaves no more room for people to kind of say, oh, the narratives are being created, it's false. For 50 to say that, I mean, we can only